Boys are in sync. I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's a legend.
Not a matter. I can't wait for this next semester. I'm taking a music theory course and a piano course and an independent study course that allows me access to the cadavers at the anatomy lab at Monterey Peninsula College, and I get to choose the course of my own study. So with the help of the professors, both male and female, a lot of whom have doctorates, I can decide what I want to study in the range of anatomy. And being that I work every day with it at my massage clinic, it's been a real exciting prospect to consider taking all this osteopathic work that I've been newly integrating into my practice and taking the opportunity to dive into it with other resources and engage other perspectives to see if I can learn it so much better, just in an attempt to be more effective in my job, but also to try and catch up to my teachers who are like in their 40s, who have been doing this over 20 years, and it's like, whoa, there's a beautiful curve here. How can I try to climb this curve?
How can I be the best me?
How can you be the best you? How are you going to climb that curve? I would like to know.
One day at a time.
So what's your favorite anatomy part?
The finger, because you can feel what's going on the head, and based on what you feel on the head, you can determine what system and where roughly, right or left, front or back, like within the area of a palm, you can, and when you're good at this stuff, you can identify what you need to treat first and roughly speaking where it is in the body and in what system. Very, very cool what can be done with proper palpation skills.
So why is that? I mean, how is it that like just that mind-body connection with your fingers, like how is it that just like putting your hands on a certain muscle, can let you in on what's wrong with a person?
If it was just a muscle, I might have a better idea, but because it's not just a muscle that you're feeling when you're working with the palpating of the skull.
Palpating of the skull. What's palpating of the skull?
Palpate is to touch with your fingers.
Oh.
I suppose I could palpate with my elbow, but I would not be able to discern as much information as I could with my fingertips because we have more nerve endings here and than we do here.
Okay, well that makes sense.
That's how we feel the world.
That's how we feel the world with our fingers.
Maybe I'll have a better answer for you in 6 months after I've taken the opportunity to study this stuff more.
I think it's a great idea.
We'll
revisit.
back.
We'll revisit this like champions.
He's gonna palpate some cadavers.
I just want to know, being able to palpate on somebody's head and then tell what's wrong with them. That's kind of interesting to me.
If it shows up in the scan, if it's a dysfunction, it can. From my understanding, and I'm very new to this, so I might, if I speak out of turn, I apologize.
It's okay.
For example, if you broke your arm, I'm not going to be able to tell that you broke your arm. I would be able to tell that the veins and lymphatic systems and the nerves are all going to be firing. The sympathetic nervous system is going to be firing. There's going to be symptomology that I can trace. And, trauma, right side, right, I see that. But,
so you could tell that
won't know.
Touching a person's head with your fingers?
As funny as it may sound, yeah, you can't.
No kidding.
And it's a learned skill. Like, any one of us could learn that skill with enough time.
Huh. So there must be some physical stuff going on that they could feel, I guess?
There's some sort of projection whereby you can...
Projection?
Yeah, let's say if I'm feeling... I don't know that I'm feeling, but somewhere in the body, let's say the lower left leg, something's going on.
Okay.
It's not that this knows that it's there, it's that there's a connection between the two, and if one is present, the other is present.
So how is it present?
It's present in that it's an initial restriction in movement. If you were trying to motion test a particular segment of skin, and it'll glide over the bone, but maybe it doesn't go up or superior as much as it might go down. See, right where I'm at right now, this is stuck going down, but I can get a lot more movement going up.
So, interesting. So you're saying if you put if you're trained, you can put your fingers on somebody's scalp and move them around, and just by how the skin is moving over the skull, you could tell there's a problem.
Correct. And the reason that you know, roughly
Ooh.
speaking, what system it
Fascinating.
might be in is because these guys have somehow organized this information or synthesized that specific systems can be found in specific areas of the skull. For example, like the ligamentous system is tested pushing up on the inferior aspect of the temporal line all the way until you get back here. And this area correlates more with the foot, this area correlates more with the hips, and vice versa, similarly with this region. And if you follow that train of thought, then this is more the head area.
So you're
Head, shoulders, spine, thoracic.
So you're
lumbar.
saying,
Yeah, you can trace.
so if I had like a hip problem, like maybe I need a new hip or something, you should be able to, if you're trained, you should be able to know that area that's kind of attached to the hip or the leg.
The
And
hope is that if there was dysfunction in one of the systems that you could scan for, it would show up, and it may be a dysfunction that's away from the hip that's influencing the hip. If it doesn't show up on the scan, it's not going to be something you can work with. You know, like smallpox, you could work with the lymphatic venous system, the nervous system, calm things down, help the body process what's there, but you're not going to attack the virus. You know what I mean?
So is this something from anatomy? Is this like or just like massage school?
You know, it's separate. It's a group of PTs and chiros that have stumbled upon this body of knowledge that was founded on osteopathy, which is, I think, the study of mechanisms and systems within the body. It's understanding physiology really, really well, and how those different systems, the circulatory system, which is composed of veins and arteries, which move oxygenated and nutrient-rich blood to and from all of your tissues everywhere in your body. And it's based on the idea that if there's some sort of stasis or dysfunction or imbalance in any one of the systems, nervous, circulatory, it goes on and on, you want to be able to tell how they're influencing each other, so that as you start to work with the body, you can deduce based on reasoning and understanding of how it interacts. You can hopefully avoid going down like a rabbit hole that isn't related to. For example, if there were two possibilities and you knew that one very frequently influenced the other, let's say you chose to treat B, option B of A and B, and B isn't actually what is causing the primary dysfunction. You would know that B isn't the primary dysfunction because whatever you would treat, it might temporarily clear up, but it'll just refacilitate quickly.
Sure.
So it'd be like say I was a runner and I had an IT band problem, right? Which is pretty common in running. But the symptom that the runner or that I'm experiencing is, say, my foot hurts when I run,
Okay.
right?
Cool.
So I come to you and I go, hey, my foot hurts when I run.
Okay.
And so I guess what I'm trying to see. So if you use your stuff, what's it called again?
They call it fascial counterstrain.
Fascial. Say that again.
FASCIA. Fascia.
Oh,
Fascial
fascia. Okay.
counterstrain.
So when you use fascial counterstream on me, you can go, okay, yeah. If it's done correctly and you're trained properly, you'd be like, okay, you say you have some foot problems, but what I'm getting here is like you got a hip problem.
You could easily yes, you are correct. You're not chasing a symptom. You're trying your best to interpret what the body is telling you based on the scan.
Yeah.
So
Crazy.
It's
That's
less
amazing.
subjective. It's
Is
pretty
the
cool.
scan done on the head?
Yeah. You could lie supine or be seated or stand, and if obviously, for those of us learning it, it's better for them to be seated or lying down so that they're not moving. It's already challenging enough to figure out what's where and what the right feeling is. I've only been doing this for a year.
Well,
and I was
it's-
like clueless.
It's kind of weird to me, because everybody's so different, right? I mean, I mean, people are gonna have more water in their body than others. That way, their skin's gonna move differently. It's gonna be more hydrated. It's gonna be healthier and not so healthy. So I'm kind of trying to wrap my head around how you could just take somebody and then massage their head a little bit and go, oh, you got a problem with your hip.
In fact, you're not actually massaging the head. You're just trying to feel what. It's difficult to explain. I would have to show you, and it would make.
I went to massage school in Santa Cruz, and the modalities that they taught there was Swedish massage, which is like kind of your basic massage.
Okay. Yeah.
And then the guy who taught it was like some specialist in polarity therapy.
Polarity
so like
therapy.
half of the
what's
school
that?
was polarity therapy, and polarity therapy it was like talking about the energy poles of the body.
Nice.
And it had a similar
dipole.
Not similar, but it had like a scan
Yeah.
type system that you do with the patient first.
Same
right?
thing?
But no, it wasn't the same thing. And this was based more, you had like different spots that are supposed to tell you, like you said, like different areas of the body, like something in your neck could be
Okay.
like something in your ankle. And they had all these, there was like a chart, and like the polarity with me, it didn't resonate with me because it seemed too Santa Cruz-y
Yeah.
for me. Like I couldn't go out and sell it because I didn't really believe what I was saying. So,
Gotcha.
I did more of like the Swedish. And
Yeah. It's
stuff
like, hey,
that.
this is a massage.
Yeah.
It
But a
helps.
lot of the stuff that I learned in polarity therapy,
Yeah.
I still use, but I just don't like verbalize it.
Gotcha.
Or I don't really buy into the fact of how it works. Because polarity therapy is more like you're looking for energy blockages.
Then why do you do it?
I don't do polarity therapy.
You just said.
Oh, I use some things of it just because I think it makes good massage. So I'll use some aspects of it because I think it's good and relaxing. And one of the things is like you massage the parasympathetic nerve and you can almost put somebody to sleep, make them really relaxed.
Oh, yeah.
And like that aspect I use of it, but I don't do the whole. I'm touching your ankle and I'm touching your ear because I'm looking for like something weird.
I'm
in your
looking
liver
for
or
a
something.
subluxation blockage.
And I'm not saying that's what you're doing,
Sure.
but that's what this was. And I got into it and learned it and passed my test and everything, but I never really used I used some of the techniques, but I never used the idea of like, all right, we're gonna just clear up your energy now. And it wasn't like Reiki where you're not like touching.
I was
going to
bring that up because that's kind of like gone on that like the juju level too, right?
Yeah.
Where you're using energy and.
Yeah, Reiki, they're not even touching.
I don't know.
you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's some. I think. I mean, I don't know. I know there are modalities. I think Reiki's one of them where they don't even like they maybe they touch you sometimes, but sometimes they don't. Yeah, the thing with polarity therapy is you're just supposed to like, I guess, loosen these energy blockages by touching different.
Well, what's
areas.
interesting? I'm not a complete skeptic of this because back in the old Paralore days, one thing that really fascinated me was astral projection stuff, right? And I got turned on to that because of sleep paralysis problem I had, which was another crazy thing.
Yeah.
You ever have that sleep paralysis?
I remember when you had it. but I've never
Yeah.
had it.
Oh man, but huge introduction to like astral projection through this guy named Robert Bruce. He had this book.
I remember that.
Remember that book,
Yeah.
Astral Dynamics?
I think you
It's
gave
like-
me that book.
It's like this thick, and the whole thing on this book is it's to teach you how to astral project, right? And the very first part of it is it's all about this energy work in your body, right? So it's like 100 pages of just exercises that you have to do every day, right? And the idea is you'll do these exercises, these energy work exercises, and keep your body, keep your mind. That keeps your mind awake, but and basically put your body to sleep. So you go into this self-induced sleep paralysis state, at which point you're awake and you're trapped inside your body.
Yeah.
Right now, the next step is to disembark from your body or detach from it momentarily, so you can go astral project.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy, right? But if you've ever had sleep paralysis, it's like, oh, yeah, I'm there. It's just I haven't been able to like exit the body and go fly around or whatever.
Yeah.
Because sleep paralysis is really scary.
So do your eyes open when you're in sleep paralysis?
No,
Or you just-
but you think they're open,
Okay.
right? Yeah, it's the kind of thing where you're laying there and you're like when I was on the ship in the Navy. And sleeping patterns are all wacky. We're out to sea. We're doing like a 3-man or a 3. What was the shift work? It was like a 3-day shift type of thing.
3-hour tour.
So 3, yeah.
3-day duty cycle?
Yeah, that's it. Anyway, 20. Yeah. Anyway, so we're rotating our shifts
Yeah.
like constantly, so we don't have the same work day, like ever. right? And it gets to that point where I'm just drinking constantly coffee.
And was your every third day 24 hours?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
I
It's
think
gnarly.
ours is five or 6 days.
Yeah, ours is like every third
sucks.
day, and so when I would go to sleep, I'd be wired on coffee or vice versa. I'd be coming hard off of coffee,
Yeah.
and my brain would be awake. And the first time I had that like sleep paralysis episode, I was laying in bed, and I was tossing and turning, and I was frustrated because I couldn't go to sleep. And then I laid there for a while, and I'm still thinking to myself, and I'm still frustrated. And I go to toss, only I can't move my body. And I'm like, what the fuck is that all about? And then, so I feel like I open up my eyes, and I'm looking, but what catches my attention is that I'm looking through the curtain. The curtain's not really there. Like, I know it's there,
Yeah.
but I'm looking through it. And I'm like, that's weird. And then I'm starting to panic a little bit because I can't move my body. And then I hear what sounds like voices, weird noises, right? Like in a distance. And then also, it's really uncomfortable. It feels like somebody's there with you.
Is this the old hag syndrome?
It's kind of like the old hag syndrome, right? It's another
What's the old hags?
parallel of
It's
that.
basically like this, but the person like feels like this old woman is sitting on their chest, and there's like millions of people who've had the same experience, like a lot of pressure on your chest, and somebody's there, and it looks like an old woman. Or
Yeah, it's
but
wacky.
it's an actual thing.
It's
that's
another
a lot, like so many people have experienced the same thing,
It's another sleep paralysis phenomenon, I think.
and it's probably like he's saying, it's like some sort of common dream that people have, because like I've never had it, but he's saying like the closest.
I just see this fat chick like in this frizzle, like with a fucking cigarette, just like,
So what's that?
you trying to fucking go somewhere?
Come on, sweetie, we ain't got all day.
It's like Sylvia Brown sitting there on your chest. Who'd you think you'd see, honey? Old hag syndrome. Yeah, but I mean, I guess there's something to it. I've had the most like nearest experience like that I've had is I've had several dreams where I'm somewhere that's like they're haunted.
Okay.
And there's a ghost there, and I'm scared in my dream, right?
Yeah.
But then I realize I'm dreaming, so I'm like, oh, I could just like close my eyes.
Yeah. Snap out of it.
And I close my eyes, but I still see everything.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm like, oh, I'm dreaming. Of course, I'm still going to see it.
Right,
You know, and I
right.
kind of can't wake up, but it's not.
It's not the same thing.
Yeah,
though.
I don't feel like I'm trapped. I don't feel like I
Yeah.
can't move. But there is that thing. Like I feel like it's something. I'm in a place that's haunted.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's like there's something else here.
Well, with this thing, I think your levels of consciousness, start to change. You know that hypnagogic switch you get at night when you're like entering into sleep. It's like that moment when your body just does that kind of twitch,
Oh yeah.
right? So that's your body shutting off a certain part of I don't know what part of your nervous system, part of your brain that doesn't allow you to act out your dreams, right? People who have night terrors, who suffer from night terrors, don't have that in their brain. So they can't switch that off. So when they have nightmares, they're like acting out their nightmares.
Have
right?
you ever seen that happen to
It's
somebody?
scary
Yeah,
as
dude.
fuck,
I
man.
know. I haven't seen that, but I have a friend who, and I won't say their name, but we spent some time together in various. Anyway, when he's sleeping, he warns you before you like turn the lights off. He's like, "Hey, dude, I just want
Oh, no way.
get night terrors, and like sometimes I'll like lash out, and I'm not trying to kill you. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry if it happens. Like, I'm usually pretty good about it." I was like, right. So I'm gonna put some pillows between us, and then I don't have to worry about dying while I'm doing this.
Man.
That shit happens.
One
Man.
of my best friends from Southern California, and you know the guy, he had night terrors, and I've seen him happen in front of me like several times. But it was like one of the scary. I guess it's
Yeah.
night terrors. I don't know. He'd be sleeping on the couch, and then he'd just wake up all of a sudden, eyes wide open.
Oh,
and he was
shit.
Like, he was terrified, and he was like backing up on the couch, like hyperventilating almost. And there was like three of us just sitting there looking at him, like, oh, it was scary to watch because you're like, what the hell is going on? Like,
Yeah, no kidding.
it was weird.
The closest thing I've had to that was when I was in boot camp. My roommate got really hammered one night. He was an alcoholic, and he wakes up at like 3 a.m, and he's running around his bed, and he's trying to find a can of gasoline, and he's like panicking, right?
In the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night. Could you imagine waking up to somebody like that? Like you wake up and then there's this dude just screaming, and he's like panicking,
gas?
looking for a can of gasoline. And I flip on the light, and this is like this kind of hairy man in like tidy whities, like running around trying to find this can of gasoline. The guy was he was in a different world, completely.
Did you
different
wake
world.
him up? Or?
We screamed at him, and I don't even remember what happened. He must have just went back to sleep or something. I can't remember, but we were, because I was screaming at him, so then that woke other people up to come and like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
Because he was screaming, and I was screaming. Yeah, it was so weird, man.
So what happened the next day?
He didn't even remember it. He was completely blacked out drunk. Yeah, he got in trouble.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he got reprimanded for that. Ended up getting busted down like 2 or 3 times.
Wow.
Yeah, he was like the only guy I knew that was like a seaman apprentice or something like that, and he'd been in the Navy he was already over 5 years in the Navy.
So this guy had issues.
Yeah, he was an alcoholic.
Okay.
Yeah, he just had one of those problems with alcohol and he carried it with him. Yeah, it was unfortunate. But yeah, back to that Robert Bruce thing and that energy work.
That was a good conversation.
The exercises he'd have you do were like quite believable, right? Because he had these exercises where you just kind of visualize like energy coming in and coming out of your body, right? And he'd start you on small stuff like your hands. Like imagine like a paintbrush just kind of whisking over your hand back and forth, and I want you to start to visualize, I want you to feel a tingle, feel that brush. You just get to that point where your brain is just like feeling that brush. You're like, holy shit, yeah, I feel that brush now. So you've already got your brain kind of like, you're tapped into that area of the brain that says, yeah, you're feeling the brush. And he's like and then he has you move it up your body. And then after like an hour of that, you're kind of like doing this whole thing with your body. It's like a really deep meditation, kind of like a Kundalini probably kind of meditation, But so with that in mind, because that to me, what's going on there, it's probably all in my head, probably is, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. But
it's real to you.
It's real to me, yeah. So I can understand where these guys are going with all this dipole stuff. But
The cool thing, go ahead.
Inducing it in somebody else, that to me, like they have to be drinking the Kool-Aid, I think, in order to really grasp it. Because if I went up to you and I just started going like this, and you didn't understand the background behind it, you'd probably be like,
shoe fly.
fuck you doing?
Yeah.
Depends on how sensitive a person was. Some people have a better awareness of that sense.
Flip that switch, flip that switch into...
I think it's, you train yourself to feel for certain things too.
Yeah.
One of the things we did in the school that I went to, they would have like the scanning procedure or whatever, right?
Uh-huh.
And the way they worded it, it was just like you do this whole like head to toe evaluation, and you have all these like parts of the body they refer to as like, oh, this is where it kind of got like hippie.
Uh-huh.
Like this is the air part, this is the earth part, this is the water zone. And so you'd find the elements that you felt were out of balance in your initial scan, and then say it was the water element.
Uh-huh.
Then you do a water balance, and so you like massage and palpate the areas that correlated with the water line of your body.
Interesting.
So for me, I could do that stuff just as like this is part of the massage.
Yeah.
But I can never like verbalize. Oh, your air line is out of balance. So we're just that part was always like rough for me. But when we practiced it in the class, they would go through and you get like massaged several times a day.
Yeah.
You do it. You have a partner. You do it, and then they work on
So
you.
you're training,
right?
yeah.
And then after
Drilling
each time, they would talk. You kind of have a round table discussion, like, oh, so what did you experience while you were?
Yeah.
And their belief was like, oh, the air balance promotes like this type of like
Interesting.
dreams and emotions when it's happening. And it did seem like there was something to it. Like even when I was on the receiving end of the massage, I don't know, you can really get put like in the zone.
You can kind of get enrolled into it, right?
Yeah,
Like that's kind of the thing, like the suspension of disbelief in a lot of ways, where you just...
This is how you should feel. Now let's do it. Now, how did you feel?
I mean, we're human beings. It's like marketing psychology.
Yeah.
There's just certain things that...
It's like the hypnotism guy.
Yeah, it's the hypnotism. It's the suggestion. And I think that's part of it, honestly. Like now I think about those Reiki healers, I have no idea what they do, but my guess is they're probably doing some kind of guided meditation and incorporating that stuff into it. And by the time you've been down, 15 minutes or whatever, or maybe even sooner, it's like hypnosis where you get influenced, and you're like, oh yeah, I could feel it, totally feel it.
And if it works for the person who's getting it, then what's wrong with it?
I think it's fun. I think absolutely, if it works, it's a great thing to have in your body, in your life. It's way healthier than medicine, or you know what I mean, like medications and shit. So why not? Cheaper too. Power of your mind. Placebo's a real thing.
Oh yeah,
big time. I don't know. What say you, Steven? How's it going over there, buddy?
I love the idea of thinking about what the mind is capable of doing for your body, for your environment. It's definitely something that has been piquing my curiosity lately. For example, if you act or behave or achieve XYZ in a certain way in a particular state of mind, do you always want to be in that one state of mind?
Like a flow state or something? Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, like a flow state?
Flow state, yeah. I think it brings to light some of the pop culture references that have been showing up about, taking a pill and having heightened awareness.
Oh, yeah. We were talking about that last week, weren't we? Like Adderall?
Adderall,
yeah. We're like, that's just fucking Ritalin or methamphetamine. It's just methamphetamine. That's all it is.
That was fed to me as a child for like 10 years.
Adderall?
Ritalin.
Silert, Ritalin, and then Concerta.
Why? That's messed up.
Yeah,
your parents are messed up.
Well, there were a lot of...
Your parents are messed up, Steven.
I forgive them for that. I forgive them. They were doing the best they could. Them, the doctor, the school people, everybody was doing the best that they could.
It's even crazier today. You think it was bad back then when you got dosed, man. It's like, it's not your parents' fault. Everybody's getting nailed so hard these days. It's a huge epidemic in this country, man.
Take a pill.
Take a pill. It's just pushed on everybody.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
No, it's totally rough.
Eat some Brussels sprouts and do some jumping jacks.
Get some sunshine. I know. That scares me the most about anything is like getting stuck on some kind of psych med, antidepressant or something.
That's what
because your brain.
People go crazy and start killing people after.
Yeah, there's man, that's scary.
Or you go Lisa Lam. Lisa Lam.
Yeah. Well,
what did Lisa Lam do?
Oh my God,
that's a story we talked about it like last week or the week before.
Oh, you wouldn't. Oh yeah, tell this.
10 seconds.
But yeah,
10 seconds.
Make it real quick. There's some 21-year-old girl from Canada who went to L.A. at some point just for like a fun trip.
The water started tasting really bad.
She was missing for 19 days. They found her body in the water
tower
water
at
the top of the building
in a hotel,
and people had been drinking the water. For
but there's a video.
A week or two.
There's a video of her moments before she died.
In an elevator, going nuts. Like she's looking like somebody's chasing her. She's hiding, pressing the buttons, and the next thing you know, they find her like naked, dead. 2 weeks later, on top of the building.
Super freaky.
That's
super freaky.
And the only logical explanation, there's a lot of weird things like, there's a serial killer or there's a devil or something like that. But the most logical explanation is she was bipolar and on like 4 different meds, and maybe she stopped taking them or mixed them with something.
She mixed them with something else.
She had no real history of like doing real,
What's creepier to
non-pharmaceutical.
What's creepier to me than any paranormal ghost story, which we all know is just fucking bullshit, right? Is watching somebody who's having a mental disorder that's either on their drugs or off their drugs.
Yeah, it's creepy. It's really weird to watch. The video's creepy.
That's the scary part to me. And that's why I wouldn't want to be put on an antidepressant or something. It's like, man, whatever it takes to find something that's natural, please do it. It's super important. Because nobody wants to be like Elisa Lam. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that would not be good. You wonder what component the personal responsibility, when does that play a role in battling one's own mental health?
Yeah, that's a tricky question.
It's a dilemma, sir.
Yeah,
that's a dilemma.
A moral paradox, my good man. Now, I don't know. I'm sure there's some sort of guideline, but most of the time what I've experienced is people call on behalf of their loved one, right? So their loved ones are having trouble. Either they don't want to make the call or, they're just, in denial, and somebody's like, we got to do something, about this guy who is clearly drinking a 12-pack a day, and he doesn't leave the house, and he's just constantly depressed, you gotta call and go, hey,
Got to have an intervention.
my brother is a fucking weirdo. He needs some help. Nah, not a weirdo. It turns out, dude, this is a crazy statistic, but
Take them to nature.
1 in 3 people have. I'm doing this again because I've been studying this shit. But 1 in 3 people have like a depression disorder at some point in their lives, like a serious one.
That sounds pretty normal then.
Yeah, and here we are, right? I don't know. You guys probably.
I read today the obesity rate of the United States is 36%.
And climbing.
So that's
And
almost,
climbing,
almost the
people.
same.
Yeah.
It's almost the
And
same.
climbing.
Yeah, it's going up.
It's going up.
America.
Turns out, diabetes drugs make a lot of money in
You guys want
diabetes.
to go to In-N-Out Burger after this?
You know, it's people are like, Stephen, why do you want to go to school? I'm like, I don't know. But when I talk to the physician's assistants that have completed school and because they know their jobs are in high
Yeah.
demand and they don't have to do as much medical training, but they still have to do a ton of it.
Yeah.
They have these insights into cultural phenomenons where large groups of people are unwilling to change their day-to-day habits to
Right.
avoid being plagued by diabetes,
The consequences.
a disease that is silently destroying their entire culture, and yet they're so impregnated with the idea that grab a pill and everything will be just fine.
That's right.
It's heartbreaking to.
Yeah.
You ask, well, do they not have the resources? Do they not have the
have it.
access to the knowledge? Nope. They have all of it. We give them
Yeah.
all the resources. We tell them all the things to do. They just don't do them.
Can lead a horse to water.
It's oh man, yeah.
So what's influencing these people to believe that? How do we get into that?
Yeah.
When I think about the positive propaganda, I think of
Yeah.
like, okay, how can we start to like slowly shift back? What kind of
Yeah.
influence is required for that?
Here's to me, I think the big barrier in a lot of this stuff. So you could take food as an example, right? The momentum that's kind of taken the food industry, by storm for like the last 20 or 30 years, probably longer than that, probably in the 70s, right? Ever since like high fructose corn syrup became a big thing, and a lot of these corporations really focused on marketing and so forth. The momentum is there, right? It's really hard to kind of push back the clock on that, especially when people are so accustomed to easy and cheap, and taste good, right? Those are some very bare, raw, primitive essentials that human beings, need to like live,
Yeah.
And so if you're going to try to take that away, right? When
Hell
they're
no.
conditioned to it, it's going to be a real hard, battle. You can tell already because people would rather die than change.
Yeah.
Because it feels so good to do bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird, man. It's like that everywhere, though. It's not just food. It could be politics. It could be health. It could be your favorite sports team. I don't know.
Imbalance.
Yeah.
That's the way my pa did. That's the way I'm going to do it, by God. That's the way I'll teach my kids.
Tell you what, Paul is a good man. I knew him. I knew Paul.
Paul's a good boy.
I knew them very well.
He's a good man. Yeah, what's crazy is I think people are just if they hear the same message over and over again, doesn't matter what the message is.
It sticks.
It sticks.
It starts to stick, which is
It doesn't even matter. Yeah.
that's where that personal responsibility comes in, though.
Yeah.
If we know it sticks, then we should cultivate the right things or
Yeah.
the things that we want, because we can choose. And so if we think, oh, we're depressed, let's think positive. Let's think happy. Let's habituate it. Let's
Yeah.
impregnate that into our daily. Surround yourself with it. Eventually, it sticks.
Yeah. Hopefully it does.
See, I feel like that's easy for me to do because I'm generally a happy guy.
Yeah.
But if you're a depressed guy and somebody tells you, just think happy, you're going to be like, well,
Fuck you.
yeah, right?
Why are they?
Shit sucks.
Why are they depressed? What is depressed?
I mean, I've talked to people who go through these like severely depressed stages. And I'm no psychologist or psychiatrist, right? But
Yeah.
you try to like console your buddies and stuff. And when people are going through that stage,
They don't want to be consoled.
yeah, they don't want to be consoled. They want to, like,
They want to feel
Vent,
miserable
I
for a
guess,
little
yeah.
bit, externalize. Yeah, it's kind of a
and
funny thing.
I'm only speaking to what I've experienced, the people I know.
I just my own self-awareness on this, my little my little condition that I feel like I'm experiencing. because I ask myself constantly. I'm like, why am I so agitated? Why am I so irritated? What is it about this? I'm psychoanalyzing. I was like, what is it about this situation that would trigger me? And then if I do get triggered, what can I do to like make sure I don't like take that trigger to a stressful level, like the shock the monkey level?
Yeah.
But to like, okay, calm down, take a break, step away from whatever it is, and just breathe. It really does come down to that. But a lot of people don't think that way, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people just kind of go down that rabbit hole. And what happens, and again, I've been reading a lot of this stuff lately, is, there are, again, like plastic areas, neuroplastic areas of the brain that stop responding as well. Stress, right? When you create that kind of stress in your body, it starts to target, I guess, the hippocampus, which is a part of your brain that is like a reward and emotional processes and stuff. So that begins to malfunction. It gets like stuck in overdrive, and so all your negative things get like amplified significantly, and a lot of times that's where they get in with these antidepressants. These neurotransmitter reduced neuroserotonin. I don't know, a couple of brain chemicals. So they just flood your brain with these like happy feel good chemicals that supposedly kind of take over for like the hippocampus.
Like create dopamine or something.
Yeah, like there's a dopamine and a serotonin response. They get really creative. That's why they call them SSRI inhibitors. But yeah, I mean,
cause bleeding from the eyeballs and sudden death.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about that commercial I saw for?
Don't worry, it's all natural.
It's all natural, gluten free. I saw a commercial, and I may have mentioned this before, but it's a commercial for people with I forget what it is, some sort of overeating disorder.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
And in the commercial,
bulimia.
Possible side effects. One of them was possible sudden death.
Oh my god.
Which means it's happened, right? So
Yeah.
who the hell's like, I have an overeating disorder, but I can take this pill which may kill me, but it'll probably suppress my appetite.
It's funny when you consider somebody who's like so overweight, like they're that obese, they probably got heart problems.
Oh yeah,
Possibly. I bet that a lot of people die off that shit.
Well, isn't like heart disease one of the top killers?
I think it is the top killer. Yeah.
Insane.
That's insane. It's easy to see why, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Feel bad, man. What are you writing over there, Steven? Got some notes?
I'm just following a thought. You know how
A
you were
train
talking
of
about
thought.
the people that just have to write some shit down?
Yeah.
Sometimes?
You can record it into the old box here.
The old box.
Speak into the old
there's
machine.
There's a flow chart I wrote. It goes thoughts go to feelings. Feelings go to either beliefs or perpetuating more thoughts, and usually go back to perpetuating a belief, and then it just repeats itself. So the thought is truly the chicken and the egg all in one.
Oh, that's
Far
deep.
out.
Far out.
Mind blown.
Choose the thought. Live the reality.
That's true. I was thinking about Elon Musk going to Mars, and I'm like, that is one clear-cut example of somebody thinking really, really big and making that shit happen.
That guy's got his hands on a lot of stuff.
Mundo. He knows how to use the resources available to him. Collectively, there are so many more resources than we even are willing to admit.
Yeah. How old is that guy?
Elon Musk?
He's got to be like in his early 40s. Huh?
Oh man, he's probably he's probably his mid 40s, I imagine.
If he lives to 50, I'll be excited to see what he does.
He's a pretty smart guy.
Mars.
I have to say, super genius. Yeah. I also think the same thing about Donald Trump too, and not to
Super
bring anything
genius.
politics. Super genius? No, I'm just thinking somebody who. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter if you just think big enough and you have the balls to like go for it. The president's the limit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because he's like the craziest guy.
He's like a cartoon character.
He's like a cartoon character. Yeah. We have like a cartoon, and so with that being he's entertaining. You ever listen to him? Well, I follow him on Twitter, right? So he tweets a lot. That's kind of like one thing I like about him.
He tweets a lot.
He goes.
I've never been on the tweet. I've never been on the Twitter.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's funny. Well, when you follow the people that you kind of like and they're active on there.
I'd have to look at my phone too often.
What do you mean?
Wow.
Well, you just check it out when you want to check it out.
What does he tweet about?
Donald Trump?
Yeah.
Oh, he just says crazy shit about like we need to ramp up our nuclear arms, and there's like some crazy shit that he'll come out with.
Well, he doesn't want to do like traditional White House press briefings.
Yeah.
He said, Twitter is the best way to get to the people these days.
Yeah, he kind of bypasses all the mainstream media with his tweets.
He's like the new CEO of T-Mobile. He realized that America was actually a company that you could just run. And he's like, I'm going to fucking do that.
I could do this.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's kind of like, so he's got some banter, you know. It's kind of scary, but it's from that let's watch this kind of meteorite thing happen, you know, the shower happen, and it's kind of fun to watch. I don't know. Think big, man. That's the hard part.
What if we reached out to Donald, the Don?
The Don.
What would you say?
Don.
What would you say to him? You know he's going to be
faith in you.
He's going to be the next president of the United States of America.
In like less than a month.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm excited to see what fucking happens. Honestly.
Yeah, I'm still tuned out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
I got burnt out.
Yeah, me too.
I got burnt out.
Hey, Gene.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any Christmas cookies around?
Gene don't eat cookies.
I don't have any Christmas. I don't have any.
He's got the
Christmas
gluten-free kind that aren't made of. They're made of carrots.
I'm fiending for something sweet and crunchy. What do you got?
Upstairs, there's.
What does Gene have in his refrigerator?
Sweet and crunchy.
This is my favorite game. I wanted to do a YouTube series called Pantry Raiders, where I go over to people's houses and I'm just like tearing through shit, and then we make a badass meal out of whatever.
Upstairs, you can get there's ice cream bars in the freezer if you want one.
Oh, dairy.
Sounds
naughty little girl.
Beggars can't be choosers, Steven.
Yeah, Steven. What the fuck, Steven?
What do you have that's vegan?
Yeah,
gluten-free.
Gene. You're a good man.
There's jerky
and thorough.
There's some sort of party thing, you know, party mix.
I'm gonna go for an ice cream.
Yeah, go look around, man. There's stuff.
Would anybody like a beverage, tissue,
I think we're good.
Snack?
I'm hanging in there. I still got my Dasani sparkling deliciousness in a can here.
Don't buy that product.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It's not that bad. I've had 2.
Okay.
It's like my second one.
Here, you can have a third one.
I'm gonna have a third one. It's drinking. It's just water. It's carbonated water. They take the water. They put it. They put it through a bubbling machine.
A bubbly.
And then they.
I think that's called a bubbleizer.
And then they add approximately like 1 nanogram.
That's how much a soul weighs.
They had 1 soul's worth. 1 soul's worth of raspberry and lemon. And then they put it in this can, and they charge me.
And then 2
99 cents and 2 gypsy tears. But at least I didn't kill a unicorn of the birds.
Oh, had to get around to that.
My dad shot me with a BB gun one time, and I'll never forget this because it was my first BB gun, and we were playing Cowboys and Indians. I was like 7 or 8, right? And my dad, what he was doing is he was shooting down at the dirt in front of me. This is my dad. Yeah. He's hilarious. So he was shooting down, and he was shooting the BB gun at me, but like hitting the dirt in front of me, like a foot in front of me.
Dance, boy.
Yeah. It was a dance. It was a dance boy kind of situation. And I didn't think anything of it. And then one time he like popped me in the shin by accident. You know, like I stepped into it or something. And I got popped, and I was like, "Oh man!" And I started crying. It didn't hurt that bad, but I was like in complete shock that my dad shot me.
Dare you shoot me, Dad?
Shot me with my own pellet gun, my own BB gun.
No wonder you're depressed.
He felt so bad. It was just funny. That was in the time I used to live in Texas. Texas was an interesting experience because it was hot and muggy. It was right next to Waco, right? I think it was Waco, actually.
Were you guys part of the Branch Davidian?
No, we weren't, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, be dead.
We'd probably be dead. Oh, yeah.
So, fortunately.
Fortunately, we were not part of David Koresh's cult.
Unfortunately, we're still alive.
But, it was kind of an interesting place where there was some swampy, boggy forest area that had, like, box turtles running around wild. Like pet turtles. You can go get lost out in this area, and it's like all this farmland and stuff, and I was just a kid. And oh man, I forgot where I was going with this story, but living in Texas, you could go to the flea markets and buy like ninja stars and shit.
Oh, they had that in Little Rock.
And butterfly knives.
I remember that.
Yeah. Oh, it must have been before they outlawed them.
They outlawed them when we were kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to go to the flea market so I could get like the butterfly
Wasn't that
knives.
so
and the ninja stars.
awesome? I bought my first Rambo knife for like $3.
Wasn't it nice being a kid in the 80s?
Oh man,
You have to
had
like get a
some
background check now in California.
cool shit in those days, man. I had a Rambo knife, like you could unscrew the top.
It
of
had
it.
a compass on the top
I
and
had
like
a
matches and fishing
compass
line.
and matches, and it came with like a little flint, or it was a sharpener. It was like a
Yeah,
sharpener that
sharpener.
came in the sheath.
I had the very same one. I got it from Harbor Freight.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I got it from some dude at a flea market for like $3.50 and like a couple of ninja stars. But then we'd go home and we have like some we'd have like a big sheet of plywood up, and we'd just be like launching ninja stars.
Man, you guys are fine.
We did pretty good, man. Ninja stars and butterfly knives and nunchucks. Nunchucks too.
Nunchuck, yeah.
Yeah, got heavy into nunchucks.
They must have the same stands at all like flea markets.
Yeah, I wonder what they're selling today. You know, like what's
Probably
the cool
the-
shit for today? You know, that kids could get at a flea market.
I don't know.
I haven't been to a flea market.
I got
in
my
like
first
a long
skateboard
time.
at a flea market.
Did you?
And it had a fishtail.
Oh wow.
Remember those things?
Yeah,
I don't know what was the reason of the fishtail. Did it have a purpose?
I don't think so. Just a style, I think.
Yeah, I don't think it was a style that caught on.
Yeah, I don't think so.
That was
either.
my first skateboard.
I was a terrible skateboarder. I was really good on BMX though.
I didn't learn to ride a bike till I was 9. I rode a skateboard before I rode a bike.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got started pretty young. I think, my uncle bought my first bike when I was like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And once I got that bike, remember that story I told you about just taking off and like
Yeah.
being everywhere, like indefinitely, And that was because of that bike, man. That bike like launched it.
Do you still own a bike?
I got a beach cruiser now.
We should go riding.
I know. We should go cruising.
I'm hoping to be able to start riding soon with my foot getting older.
Yeah.
They have me riding the stationary bikes at PT now.
Oh, good.
That's my warm up.
Yeah. Get the heart rate up.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah. And I have a road bike too.
Oh,
I haven't ridden it like in a long time, but.
Just take it up to Santa Cruz and we'll ride up Wilder Ranch, ride right down the coast.
Oh, yeah.
It's a nice ride.
Yeah, I used to mountain bike up there a lot. It's a great place to mountain bike.
Okay.
Yeah. You start out behind UC Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
And kind of roll into that forest. It's really technical out there.
Yeah, I went out there by myself the last time I went.
Oh, did you really?
And I rode all around the beach where I normally ride. And then you cross Highway 1 up into like
into Wilder.
the more technical stuff.
Yeah.
Quickly got in over my head.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like I was riding, like I went over some downhills. You know how you're terrified and you're like, oh, and you
Oh
start.
no! Did you eat it?
No, but I almost did. And then I got to the bottom. I turned around and got the hell out of there.
That's
So
funny.
that's over my skill level. But you know how you get going so fast?
Yeah.
And you start to brake, and then you're just sliding back and forth.
Oh yeah.
So you just have to like let go and ride it out.
Yeah.
It would have been funny to have like one of them cameras on myself because I know I was making that face like,
Oh fuck. Yeah. There's some crazy shit out there.
Yeah.
Really technical. Yeah, that's some like world class mountain biking right there.
Yeah. And I am not a world class mountain biker.
Yeah, you got to have the right bike and the right skills to get out there and do that. Yeah, I've crashed a lot, especially since I used to be so good, like nimble. Like I really good on my feet, really good on a bike. Like I never crash and I do
Yeah.
crazy shit. And then like in my 30s, it's like I could definitely see it. Like fuck, I do the same shit, but then my reflexes were a little bit slower.
Yeah.
And I'd start to eat it and stuff. So I'm like,
Can he come?
yeah.
Cool.
Steven is the
Doggy
worst
time.
podcaster. Steven is the worst podcaster. I'm going to have to fire his ass. Hey, leave my dog alone. You are like the worst podcaster.
I'm the best, worst podcast.
The I don't know for sure show, folks.
He's the worst podcaster ever,
Your dog
officially.
was super nice. He was like, "Hey, bro, I'm up here," and I was like, "Hey, dude." what's up?"
Klondike bar.
Hey, make sure you don't eat that into the microphone.
Okay.
It's crunchy.
Yeah.
Let me put my headphones.
I
back
got
on
some
so
gri-
I know the damage I'm doing.
So I remember a story now that you're
Hey, what's
mentioning
up,
how
dude?
you ride bikes. I remember
Yeah.
you rode bikes a lot when we were in high school.
Oh, yeah.
And you got pretty like cut up and stuff one time.
yeah, I got eaten up pretty good.
Road
And
rash.
I was crashing shit.
And I don't know if you remember this, but one time we were all out in my front yard in the street.
Uh-huh.
And I was kind of like, because you knew all these tricks and stuff. And I'm like, look, I'm Gene. And I did a,
Oh, no.
I did a
Like a wheelie or
wheelie.
something? Uh-huh.
And I turned my wheel to the side. I was like trying to do some trick or something, But I was kind of just teasing on you.
Yeah.
And I learned my lesson not to tease on my friends because when I came back down, my wheel was still turned.
Oh,
and I endoed over my jaw into the street.
Oh, no.
It hurt for like months. Like it would pop, And I was like, it was a reminder, like, Don't make fun of your buddy.
Was I there?
I think so.
Oh.
I
don't remember
I don't
that.
remember.
Oh, well.
Maybe you weren't. I was doing it behind your back, and
It
that's
could
why.
be.
That's why they threw me on.
I'll
the
show
street.
him that son of a bitch.
I learned my lesson. Your brother was a good bike rider. I remember going
He
to
is.
like some of his
He's a daredevil.
little races or whatever.
Yeah, I think he's one of those guys that would have had a really good X game potential.
Yeah.
Like if he had grown up in an area that nurtured that kind of environment, like I got my dog.
What are you doing, dummy?
Yeah, he was definitely he's there to he'd get up on a fence and he'd do like backflips and stuff, you know. Yeah, he was like really good at that shit, man. Doing bike races. and
Why did
stuff.
you get out of it?
Life.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Started going straight.
it's one of those things that you have to drive out of town to do.
Yeah.
You know, and
Just can't really commit the time.
Yeah, and my folks are like juggling all the kids and everything, so it's one of those inevitable things. Is if you can't keep it up or keep.
They should have shipped him to like Tahoe.
Yeah. No, that should have been like the thing, right?
Yeah.
The thing would have been like,
Bye.
see ya, you know.
Write us in a year or two.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too bad though because he had some skills, and just kind of fell off, unfortunately. Going straight. I think he got paralyzed by the whole I gotta like earn a living thing.
Yeah.
And be responsible. Because growing up in my family, you kind of get a sense of like, okay, don't fuck up because you can see what happens when you fuck up. You know, so there was a huge, there was a lot of pressure. I think it was self-imposed pressure to like do something good for yourself, whatever it takes. You
Right.
know? So he chose like I got to get a job, and took that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's doing good.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him. I need to talk to him though. What?
What's he doing now?
He's a trucker. Drives a truck in L.A. somewhere. Does like a route, an 8-hour shift or something, and that's it.
Going straight.
Going straight. Used to be like a long haul guy. Like go.
Yeah, I didn't know he was based in LA now.
Yeah.
If I was going to be a trucker, I think I'd want to like get out of town.
Hell
You know,
yeah.
If you're going to be in a car that long, it'd be nice. to see
There's
some
got to be
spots.
some serious stress involved in driving a truck like that in L.A. City, in L.A.
dude. It's a big rig.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I don't even like driving my little.
Yeah. Could you imagine like being downtown in a fucking 18-wheeler?
I don't
Like,
even like being downtown on foot.
I couldn't even be downtown. Period.
Yeah.
Just drive me crazy. So yeah, I think that wears on you. Did you ever see that stress documentary, Natty G,
Dianetics?
National Geographic's?
No. Stress is terrible, man.
Hey, dude.
Well, there's
Like,
dog.
Killer.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah,
Worst.
I hate it.
You're the
There's
worst.
just a
You are
route.
the worst podcast guest ever. Worst.
You're just feeding the dog some Klondike bar.
I know. Yeah, that's what we need to get
Look
done. Some chocolate and some dairy. That's great. That's a good idea.
That's what I ate.
Yeah, but you're not sleeping with Gene tonight.
I know, man.
And the
Crazy.
dog was.
What are you doing, dude? Yeah, so I don't know. Long haul trucking. East
Long
Coast
haul trucking.
turnarounds.
Does he got his own rig?
No, he's I think he's working for some place, man.
Yeah.
And yeah, I gotta talk to that guy. I haven't talked to that guy in a long time.
That guy, your brother?
My brother,
Name?
Tom.
Tom.
He's an Uncle Tom
Tom Morris.
Morris.
Does he go by Tom
That's
now?
a strong last name.
Yeah, Thomas. He used to go
He
by Thomas.
was always
I
Thomas.
like Thomas. Thomas. Yeah, we're all crazy. We're all crazy.
What's his favorite book?
He doesn't read.
At all?
Doesn't access the internet.
He has the ability to read.
He has the ability to
He
access
just
the internet.
chooses not to.
Yeah. Yeah.
What does he do when he's not trucking?
Playing, probably drinking, playing the PlayStation.
Trucker style.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm just really generalizing.
When was the
I'm
last
sure
time you
he's
spoke with him?
like a year ago, probably.
Really? It's
Yeah,
Christmas.
I know, right?
Oh, I'm supposed to call my cousin.
But why call them only at Christmas? Are there
Yeah.
certain people that you just don't want to call?
I just
period?
don't. I don't call people.
Yeah.
Period. I don't know what it is.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I'm terrible about it.
Why?
I feel like there's a.
I like conversations as long as a text.
Yeah.
What's up, dude? Merry Christmas.
I think I kind of agree with you. And to me, I think it's an energy thing. Like I feel like I got to devote some kind of energy, which and I'm trying to reserve or conserve energy.
Yeah.
You know, so I go, okay, I got to reach out and talk to this person or communicate with this person. Well, it's like, well, there's like 3 or 4 other people too that I got to, you know, tackle or deal with. I'd rather put that energy somewhere else, or I would rather put this off till like I have the energy to respond.
Yeah.
You know, favorably, as opposed to like I can't talk to you right now. You know.
Yeah.
That's me.
Focus.
Yeah, it's a focus thing.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's a focus thing. That's me.
See, I'm kind of like that, but then I forget to call them back.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Like somebody will call me. Oh, I can't answer right now. I'm busy.
You got to schedule it.
Yeah.
Gene and I know that one.
Yeah.
That was taught. We took a course at Choice Center, and there is definitely a Kool-Aid aspect there, but there are also a lot of good principles that can just help you be better communicating with people.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
And one of those is to declare, make an appointment, and you just lock it down. You're responsible for it. It's just that simple.
That's the way to do it.
List. I recently got a for Christmas. I got a dry erase board.
Nice.
Because I keep saying I want to make a list.
Yeah.
So I quit procrastinating.
Yeah, lists are important.
Acting.
Yes.
You acted.
You know,
Active.
it's funny. It's like
Execution.
this. Yeah. Try not to make the list too big.
I got a small dry erase board.
Three things.
Max.
Yes.
Yeah.
3.
Oh, Max.
Daily list.
Ah, yes,
Yeah.
Max.
Daily list.
3 Max daily.
Yeah.
Daily list.
Could be
Daily list.
themes.
Yeah. A
I haven't-
themed list.
I haven't wrote anything on it yet. I just got it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, my here's the thing that I run into. It's another self-awareness thing. This shiny object syndrome. You familiar with that?
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
short attention span.
Yeah, it's kind of like I don't know. The way the best explain is like I kind of get down a path and then I get like 25, 30% in,
Ooh.
and then I see something that just my brain is convinced that's the better path.
I've noticed that about you.
Yeah, and so I'm like, okay, I got to stop this and go here. Like as if I've experienced something and I have new information, right? But it's
Yeah.
all completely
New
wrong.
shit's come to life,
Yeah,
man.
new shit's come to life, right? But it's completely wrong,
Yeah.
right? It's always wrong. It's
don't-
my brain saying, dude, this is too much.
I
Go
don't know.
someplace easy.
I've known you through several iterations of like, hey Gene, how you doing with like music? And you're like, I give up on it. I sold all my shit. And then like a year
Yeah.
later, you're like, I got all new shit, man. I'm like, what'd you do with all your podcast stuff? I sold it all. I don't need that shit in my life no more.
That's right. I know. Well, you let this stuff hang around too long, and it goes obsolete on you anyway. So I always look at it as like I'm going to sell it and then just buy new stuff when the time
Rebirth.
comes. Yeah, rebirth.
So much of
My style changes too every time. I try to I realize, well, I got way too much stuff. I need to have one thing, not
Shed
5.
your skin. You're like a reptile.
like a reptile.
You're a cold-blooded
You,
reptile.
you don't do that. You don't do that. You don't.
I do.
Do you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's a good rule. If you take something in, you get rid of 2 things.
Yeah.
Now there's a point where the return diminishes
It's-
beyond measure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But within reason, that is a really good practice to reduce clutter and keeping things up to date.
That's
Material shit.
That's another good reason to have a board too, so you can write down stuff you know your brain is going to force you to forget because it's extra work, right?
I don't want to think about that right now.
Yeah, it's going to be things like that, right? It's going to be like, what did you just say? Like you just had a good talking point, and I was going to say that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Acting and just taking that moment to, instead of writing down a long list, you put
Yeah.
3, and that way you're not lost in a never-ending sea of
A
lists.
realistic goal.
Yeah.
Well, you prioritize,
Yeah.
right? You figure out, okay, there's common themes here. You could pick 3 themes, for example. Like if one of those themes relates to business, there's only certain ways and avenues you can increase business, decrease business. You could just pick one,
Yeah, just pick one.
Yeah.
and just do it. Don't obsess about what, try and experiment.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
put some energy toward that instead of putting it in
Consistent.
the back.
Yeah, iteration. I think that was my biggest word for this last year was iterative. Become iterative in all your processes. Right? Get to that point where you make an improvement and then you kind of reflect on it and then you add to it. Right? Kind of like even music, like a song. Right? Like to
Yeah.
give up on, say, a song prematurely is to give up on the song. Right? But if you go, well, I'm just going to come in today, even if it's 5 minutes, and I'm just going to listen to it. That's an iterative thing you just did.
Putting some energy toward it.
You put some energy towards it, and I've found that like songs, right? Songs are a great example. Everything else has like always been like a one iteration thing. And if it didn't work after the first iteration, it was like, let's abandon this, go find something else.
Or
Right?
let's say the first iteration didn't elicit the response or the result you were
expectations.
looking for. Right,
Yeah.
right. You're like, well, maybe this is a bad idea.
Exactly. You're like, I was completely wrong. I was completely wrong in this decision, and then you back out, which is another kind of
Interesting road to travel down. Was
Yeah.
it fear that influenced that?
Like,
fear
why?
of success, fear of failure, fear of persistence?
Yeah.
What
Because you find that a lot in the internet marketing world, right? Because you have to spend money to make money.
That's got to be a lot of just trial and error, right?
Yeah, and when the trial and error is like hundreds of dollars every day, and it starts to add up, and you start to ask yourself, you're like, what am I doing here? Is this really worth the effort? Because in order to learn, you have to gain that experience, and to gain that experience, you have to spend money.
Yeah.
So
Experiential learning at its finest.
yeah. So it's one of the cruxes of that whole industry because it's like it's up and down. What are you doing? You're like the worst. You're the worst podcast partner
The
ever.
dog might wanna.
Probably the dog would be at the door,
You think?
wanting out,
Oh, well, that's,
assuming you're reading its mind or something.
I don't read dogs' minds.
I know, but you were acting like it.
I was just guessing.
Max is a good mind reader. He's like Cesar Melendez, the dog whiz.
Cesar Melendez.
What's the guy's name?
I caught a glimpse.
What's his name?
Caesar Milan.
Milan.
Caesar Milan.
He's like Caesar
The dog
Milan.
whisperer?
The dog
Caesar
whisperer.
Melendez.
He's
like Cesar Sanchez.
He's like Cesar Chavez.
Cesar Chavez.
Caesar Chavez of dogs. And
Who's your friend there?
this is the. I feel like I'm like on the morning public access.
Oh, who did you bring with us today?
Oh, this is Harvey. Harvey was found 2 weeks ago in a Target parking lot, and he's approximately 2 years old,
And is he house trained?
and he's just about housebroken. And
He's got some gray hairs there. It's hard to
he's-
believe he's only 2.
he's up for adoption. He's just the cutest little guy I've ever seen in my life. Okay, folks, he's not really up for adoption.
He's just staring at you.
Yeah, this is my dog. That's what he does. This is exactly what he does all day long. We just kind of do this, and he's like, I'm like, whatever.
He can't even look you in the face.
Yeah, he's like, I don't understand what you're up to, and
These men, they gather around these spongy-looking stick-covered things, and they talk to it as
What
if
a-
it's going to elicit some sort of
What am I hearing?
I hear like some chaos outside.
children.
There was chaos last time I was here. Remember there was like a family fighting right
Welcome
outside
to
your
my
door?
neighborhood. Yeah, I got quite an amazing. Seaside is in the Hizzle. I got the Seaside Hizzle neighborhood. I got a good neighborhood. I have some outspoken neighbors. They get vocal sometimes.
But every once in a while they
Everybody's
shoot at
cool,
each
man.
other.
Yeah,
It's a good neighborhood.
yeah, it's a good neighborhood overall.
Have you ever reached out to a neighbor for the
Sugar?
cup of sugar, proverbial
Nah.
cup of sugar, or the favor, or the hey, check my mail while I'm out of town?
I'm like the
keep
worst
an eye
neighbor. Yeah, I'm
Have
the-
you ever knocked on your neighbor's door for anything at all?
I've never knocked on my neighbor's door. My wife is like super social. Like she's all over the neighborhood.
I don't talk to any.
Yeah, me, I'm like, I don't yeah. I don't
I got
need to
a
go talk to
podcast go do.
Yeah, it's like I got some podcasting to do. I don't have time to go talk to the neighbors. But then again, my neighbors haven't done that either. Well, actually, I take that back. So through my wife's, social reach, we're neighbors with like these neighbors next door and neighbors over here. That's it. Everybody else are kind of like, yeah, what's up? Distant acquaintance kind of thing in my neighborhood.
I'm a social guy.
Yeah.
But I'm not around my house because I don't, for some reason, like that's my safe zone where I want to be left alone.
That's a good point. That's kind of how I feel too.
Yeah, and if you're friends with your neighbors, they can just come over anytime. It's like they know you're there because your car's there. You can't not
Yeah.
answer the door.
Yeah. It's like you feel like it's a
You
violation.
should be able to say though, with a boundary, like, yeah, I'm home, but I'm not interested in hanging out right now.
Yeah, I've never had
Or
anybody
they
tell
want to
me
like
that.
borrow something at 8 in the morning.
Nah,
That happens at my house.
Well, I have
What?
here's the thing.
But we're the property manager, so we
Oh.
kind of have to deal with it.
Oh, no, that comes with the territory.
Yeah.
Well, like I have a neighbor that won't stop talking, like can't respect time, right? So like she'll start talking and then she'll just keep going, right? And you're just like, okay, I gotta go, you know.
Did I tell you about my first neighbor I had when I moved up here in Felton?
Uh-uh.
So when we first moved up here like 6 years ago, remember the house that we lived at?
The Nazi?
No, the neighbor before that.
Oh,
yeah, that was another neighbor.
yeah.
So this is a neighbor before that, and it was some lady and her husband, right? And her husband was like a software engineer
Okay.
up in like Mountain View. And they were probably in their late 20s, like maybe around 30 or something.
Uh-huh.
The lady was batshit crazy.
Oh yeah.
Like, they had, there was one of those people that had a ton of animals. Like, they had a ton of birds, like turtles, all kinds of stuff. And we had a duplex, right? So we kind of shared a house with them.
Uh-huh.
We didn't share any rooms. It was just like, a duplex. And so I'd get home, and I'd hear the lady just in full-on conversation, just like she's talking to another human on the phone or something, right?
Oh wow.
But then when I look over, she's talking to like a turtle or a bird or something. She'd have them all set out like in the yard in little cages and just be talking to them.
Oh no way.
And then she'd see you coming in, like trying to open the door, and then she'd just start talking to you. She's one of those like hypochondriacs that thinks she has every disease in the world.
Oh really?
And she gets them from her animals, and she wants to warn you about them. Because like
No
she can hear me
way.
like coughing through the walls. She's like, I heard you coughing. You probably got the thing from the bird, like the bird flu that I got from my bird, and you should go to get it checked out.
No way.
So one day I'm getting there, and I'm like trying to get in the house before she like sees me and starts in.
Uh-huh.
Right. And so I go up there, and finally she comes in, and I have the key in the door, and I'm just standing there. She's just like going off and going off. This is probably like, not exaggerating, probably like 15 minutes.
Uh-huh.
And it's one of those conversations where you can't even say a word. It's just like they're talking. And somewhere in the conversation, she mentions, yeah, and I have a cat in the freezer, but that's another topic.
No way.
And blah, 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 blah. And I said,
A cat in the freezer.
yeah, I said, what do you mean you have a cat in the freezer? And she's like, oh, it's wrapped up in a bag and everything, so it doesn't like get in the rest of my food. So
What?
so she was so weird about like,
She had a cadaver cat.
one of her
Or-
cats died.
I just dissected a cat
Oh man,
in my anatomy lab class. Yeah.
weird.
No, you
Dude.
wonder like where the fuck did all these cats come from?
There's a lot of cats.
Yeah.
So, there were 20 cats in our class.
I seen a dude. I was driving to work one morning, and there's this lady. She's a cat lady, and so she feeds all the feral cats in the neighborhood. Right. This is like down the road, Broadway, down the road, and
Obama Way, I think
Obama
it's
Way.
called.
No, it's not Obama Way. It's oh wait, it is in
It is
Broadway.
Obama
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Anyway,
Obama Way.
straight I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm driving, and so this lady's notorious. She's got like 30 cats that kind of. I watch her feed them in the morning, right?
Wow.
So one day I'm driving, and I see this dude, and he's got like cages of cats in the back of his truck, and he's like this biker dude, right? And he's like pulled over, and he's got cats, and he's out there hunting cats, like not killing them, like he's like caging them up.
Yeah.
And I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, what do you think he's doing with all those cats? Clearly somebody's hired him to take these cats away.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody called animal control or anything. This is like some dude in his truck and some cages, and he's cat hunting. You know?
Take care of them bastards.
Yeah. So I just kind of like, I didn't chuckle, but I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Yeah, I never know. You talk about cadaver cats. I'm like, well, maybe that's kind of where they come from. I bet they come from China, though. I bet they do.
Actually, I think these ones came from Mexico.
Oh, really? That's probably a good place to get the cats. China, they probably eat them.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Well, the reason this lady kept her cat in the freezer
Yeah.
is because she thought it died from some weird disease, so she wanted to preserve it until she could go have it tested.
Oh.
Right. So then she was warning us about all these weird diseases that we were going to get from being neighbors with her.
Uh-huh.
And she sent Lisa an email, right? And there's this weird like pictures that she loaded in the email.
Uh-huh.
And what it was, like when she starts reading the email, she's like, this is my feces under a microscope.
No.
And she was trying to say, like, she was trying to point out what was wrong with it. I mean, she was nuts.
Yeah.
We're like, this lady is sending us microscopic pictures of her shit.
That's amazing.
What the hell is going on here?
She didn't lack character, that one.
Yeah, she had an imagination.
When they finally moved out,
Yeah.
they wanted me to come over and help move like all their animal tanks.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, all right, I'll go help you move. And then when I went there, they gave me one of those like
Oh,
particle
respirators?
masks. And then,
What?
yeah, they're like, there's some weird fumes in here. We don't know what it is, but you should wear this, right?
Wow.
So I'm like, all right. So I helped him move. Like, they probably had like 30 aquariums.
Was her husband like crazy too, like that?
No, I mean he was French.
He was going, but he was
Yeah,
French.
He was French, but
Bonjour.
he was
Bonjour.
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 Yeah, he seemed like a normal guy. He definitely wasn't nuts.
I'll
right?
tell you right
Like her.
now,
Bonjour.
the sex was incredible.
That's-
I know it.
Yeah.
I know this from experience. The
crazy
sex was
lady.
incredible.
Yeah, the crazy lady sex. Bonjour.
Oh my gosh, dude. These people, yeah. So, but after I help him move,
Uh-huh.
she told me, now if I were you, I'd take those clothes off right now and put them in a washing machine with bleach and take a shower.
Just
And I was
that.
like, yeah. And I was like, what the hell? Why wouldn't you tell me that before I like helped you move, before I
Yeah.
went to your house?
Well,
Like,
so were you concerned? Were you actually believing her shit? You're like, God, I gotta bleach these clothes.
I mean, I know she's crazy, but at the same time, I didn't bleach them, but I did take them
Yeah.
off and wash them and drop right in the shower because I'm like,
Crazy, yes. Eccentric, potentially. Did any of her theories pan out?
I don't know. Like we were neighbors for maybe like 6 months, and then she moved out. So I don't know what happened to them. They actually, we did get an email from them like a year after we moved out, and she wanted us to come to a trial in court and testify on their behalf over the fact that the apartment was like ruined and they didn't think they had anything to do with it. And I'm like, no way, because you had everything to do with it. There was
Yeah.
30 aquariums in there, and the walls were like covered in soot.
Yeah, no
It was-
shit.
Yeah, it was weird.
Whack.
And we didn't go. We didn't.
Yeah.
Whack.
Like I'm staying out. I'm staying away from the.
Oh my
The
god.
nutty people.
You know what's really crazy is that they had animals that they thought were making them sick, right?
Yeah.
So it's like they were.
Get rid of the animals.
They had like jars of Ebola laying around or something,
It was
you know,
weird.
for the sake of just having them.
And when we first moved in there, before we knew that she was crazy, she warned us about another neighbor like 2 doors down. And she's like, you got to watch out for that lady because she's crazy. She's like, I went there and knocked on the door to like borrow something. And she opened the door wearing a robe, took it off, was butt naked, and then just started peeing on the floor.
Just like that.
Yeah, and I'm like, damn, what the hell kind of neighborhood did I move into? You know?
Yeah, no kidding.
I left like Palmdale, Lancaster, where it's like,
Now you're in like a hillbilly version of it.
yeah, and
the
now
same-
everybody's like pissing themselves, and they got cats in the freezer. What the hell's going on? But I don't know if that lady was real. I don't know if there was a peeing lady. I think it's
probably
probably just a
not.
figment of this.
What's crazy is
imagination.
being a software engineer and being married or living in a situation like that, you know? Like, wonder what was going on in that guy's head.
What kind of projects was he working on?
Oh, God, right? Yeah.
She would come over there and like be talking to us when we're trying to get inside the house and stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he would get home, come in, and like try to engage in the conversation, and then she would shut him down within a minute and be like, "You need to go inside, take a shower, and start with like this or that." And
Oh,
she wouldn't
really?
even let him like.
Even talk. Oh, she's like probably abusing him.
Yeah.
Wow, he's one of those weirdos.
Maybe they married to like get
Whoa.
his visa or something since he was.
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on. They were very interesting.
That was quite
Pair.
a couple. Yeah. Jeez, where'd they move to?
They didn't move far, like Watsonville or something. Somewhere.
wow. Then you ended up with some Nazis upstairs. Remember them? Well, they weren't really. I don't know if they're Nazis or not, but
They were. Yeah, they weren't.
interesting.
They were interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think they were Nazis, but they were. May not have been far
I'll just
from.
go with it. I was just like, well, they,
Yeah, we've had some weird neighbors.
Yeah.
They, the Nazis are probably the nicest neighbors that we had since we, which is odd to say. Yeah, they weren't really Nazis, but they did. We lived in a duplex,
It was an interesting.
another duplex.
Yeah.
We lived on the bottom floor,
That's right. Right across from what was the place called?
Brookdale Lodge.
The Brookdale Lodge. Yeah, the haunted Brookdale Lodge. Dun dun dun. It's pretty ghetto.
They're
Pretty
fixing
ghetto.
it up, supposedly.
They've been fixing it up since.
Since we were there like 10 years
That's
ago.
the story we've been telling everybody.
Well,
for
they
20
are
years. now.
actually fixing it up.
Really?
They had new windows put in all the rooms. I saw it
No
the other
kidding.
day. I drove by it and they had like little stickers
Wow.
on all the windows. I think that the local government is forcing whoever owns it now
Like to do something.
to work on it.
Yeah, it's
'Cause
good.
It's like a
'cause
staple of the mountains. Up there
yeah.
that hasn't been used for. It's been closed since I moved up here.
You know what they should do with if I own that thing? I'd do some sort of like little tax proposal, right?
I think they did.
Did
I'm
they
sure
to like
did.
pitch in and put some money into it, but then somehow turn it into like a community benefit in a lot of ways? Like if you're a community resident, somehow you could get something. I don't know, so maybe a discount on your food or something, But yeah,
Yeah, the last few owners have been. The rumor is really crooked and
Pretty
like, set the
ghetto,
place
yeah.
on fire for insurance reasons. And there was people living in it at the time.
yeah, crazy.
Crazy story.
Yeah, it's a pretty ghetto place. I mean, it's such a cool place with all that history about the mob and and underground tunnels and and then of course all the fun haunted stories, that came along with it. And it's a cool place, right?
Oh,
It's
man.
got like a brook and everything. Got
A
where else
restaurant
can
with
you?
like a creek that goes right through the middle of
Where
it.
else can you? Yeah, I think the big problem though is there's really nothing to do. Like if you were to come from out of town to like stay there for the hotel.
I mean, all the places around there are usually booked. Like, and we're
Are
talking
they?
about like,
what are people doing?
I don't know, people vacation in Santa Cruz, and they want to stay. They want to stay in the redwoods instead of the city.
Okay, so they drive down or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And it's like a big, nice, like, if it was fixed up and in the condition
Yeah.
it could be, it could be like a nice like resort, not resort.
Yeah.
It's huge.
See, yeah, you definitely need
How many
something to do.
How many people could it hold?
It's a big place, man. It's like a large Holiday Inn size place.
Yeah.
In the mountains.
So like 100 people?
Probably.
More than that.
Probably a couple hundred.
Yeah, there's probably 100 rooms.
Yeah. Boy, that's a lot. Imagine running a place like that. I wouldn't do it.
And even when we went there like 7 or 8 years ago,
Yeah.
the Brook Room, which was the main draw of the place, wasn't open either time, and that was
Nah.
like years apart,
The
which
only-
is the main draw. So it was basically just a shitty hotel.
But they did have a liquor license, and they did have a bar.
That's right.
And
What
so
else
they,
matters in Brookdale?
Yeah. So that was the hot spot.
Yeah.
It was a watering hole up there.
You
I mean,
go there for fishing, skiing.
You don't do shit up there.
No, it's Santa Cruz Mountains, so
So growing and smoking pot.
probably.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest problem with that place.
Like when we went in there, we went into the bar and we had Gene's like he had this real fancy camera at the time. It was kind of
Oh,
one of
yeah.
the big ones, but it looked like
looked like I was-
professional,
like
right?
we had a job with somebody.
And this guy came up to us and he presented himself as if he worked there and he was going to give us the tour.
Skip.
Skip. So we're like, all right, so we'll go around. He took us in all these areas that were like locked off and closed off, who somehow he just knew how to get into.
Yeah.
And then somewhere in the middle of it, he's like, and just so you know, if we get caught, I'm gonna scatter.
I'm gonna scatter.
And we're like, what the hell? I thought you worked here. Like, what the fuck?
That's funny.
And then we walked, and then one of the areas we walked into was this little room down by the brook. It was like under everything.
There it is.
And all of a sudden the door opens, and probably at least 15 people just start walking out because they think they're busted because they're not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And who knows? They were probably down there doing meth or something.
Yeah, they're doing something.
Yeah, we went in there. It was like all these chairs, like it was weird. It was
It's like a storage.
yeah, but it wasn't even like. It was weird.
Yeah, they had
It was like a storage that meth people stored all the shit in it, right? It was just like pyramid piles of chairs and like all the
Yeah,
corners,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
It was really
now somebody in the bar realized that there was a place to go get away and hide for a few minutes or whatever.
the doobie room.
It was like a doobie room. Yeah, I think that's what we called it, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
when they were all walking out, we're like, so how was the doobie room?
yeah, they were like smoking pot or something in there, and yeah, it's funny. It was
They thought they were in trouble because as soon as the door opened, they all just like bailed.
yeah, they were out of there. So funny. Oh,
Especially with a
Brookdale.
camera and a light like in their face.
Yeah, because we were doing like ghost hunting things, like little podcasts for that. I don't know. Those are interesting times.
Indeed.
I still have the same car. Still drive the same car.
That's true. That thing's less.
Yeah.
How many miles you got on that?
Like less than 100,000.
I
It's like 90, less than 90.
I put like 150,000 miles on my car. In
Really?
4 years.
Yeah,
5
you
years.
you did some crazy driving though.
I averaged like 30 something thousand a year.
Yeah, you were in the car like 3-4 hours a day, weren't you?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Every damn day.
Wouldn't that suck?
Yeah, majorly, unless
Man.
I was getting paid a
No.
lot of money.
Getting paid
And
when
to
you're
drive
there,
really
right?
Cool
Yeah.
cars in a beautiful area.
Yeah. Fuck that, man.
That's a
Didn't even
bummer.
talk about it.
That's a
Sounds like Top Gear.
past memory.
Indeed.
Yes. Well, what do you guys want to do? You guys want to?
Let's call it.
I'm getting pretty hungry.
Let's do it. Let's call it.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Well, that
much.
was
This
fun.
was a lot of fun.
Where can people find you, Steven?
I am here locally in Monterey. I'm
Nice.
working on starting up a YouTube channel.
You
What's
got
your
a
address?
Facebook? You got to start. You got to.
No,
get
I
your personal
actually-
phone number, please.
I shut down my Facebook, and I'm just, if you want to get in touch, figure out someone who knows me.
You on the Twitter?
No.
You on the Twitter?
Maybe, but I don't know what my Twitter is.
Ah, that's cool. Nobody's gonna get a hold of you, man.
I know.
How about you, Max?
At Max on the Rocks on Instagram. with two X's.
Nice.
How about you there, Gene?
At C12Gene on Instagram.
What about
and
the Twitter? What's your Twitter handle?
I got C12Gene on the Twitter. Yeah, those are the only two things I actually don't really watch Instagram too much, but I monitor Twitter because it's just entertaining. And like I said, you get the right people on there, and it's like fucking comedy hour. Yeah, so hang out there, C12Gene.
See
Okay.
you next week.
See you next week. Adios. Don't be a gross man, okay?